Hi, it's Mark, your Madison Cork Dork. Monday, I discussed the difference between a wine snob and a cork dork. Today, I'll be going over my favorite grape, Zinfandel. So, why am I doing these videos? Well, the majority of you have probably heard of some of the following varietals: Cabernet Sauvignon, Chardonnay, Riesling, and Moscato. I, however, would like to introduce you to some grapes that you've probably never heard of. At the beginning of each video, I will remind you of a few things. First and foremost, anyone can learn how to smell and taste wine. Your sensations of smell and taste are determined by the chemicals that are in food and drink. When we say we're smelling smoke or we're tasting vanilla cream, we're not making this up. With time, you can train yourself to seek out individual smells and tastes. Just swirl your wine glass, close your eyes, and think about what you're smelling or tasting, and this will help you analyze and appreciate wine. I'll keep bringing up several terms that I will define at the beginning of each video. Body is the mouthfeel you have when you taste the wine. It's analogous to milk. If it feels like whole milk, that's a full-bodied wine. If it's like skim milk, it's a light-bodied wine. And if it's like 2% milk, it's a medium-bodied wine. Tannin is the astringency you feel in your mouth that some wines have. It makes your tongue feel like it's sticking to your teeth or to the roof of your mouth. Acidity is how watery your mouth feels after swallowing. The more watery, the higher the acidity. Okay, so on to Zinfandel. I love trying different grapes. It's a way for me to learn, as well as a way for me to find out and determine what wines I really like. Zinfandel became my favorite grape relatively early on in my wine exploration. So how exactly does someone pick a favorite grape? Well, there are many ways. Unfortunately, status is indeed one of them. Perhaps it had to deal with memories I associate with the grape. A few years back, my wife and I celebrated her birthday at a tapas restaurant, and we shared a bottle of Zin, and we absolutely loved it. So it was a combination of great flavors and great memories that helped me determine exactly why I loved and continue to love Zinfandel. Zinfandel is primarily grown in America. In fact, I cannot discuss the location and history of Zinfandel without the myth of the alleged American grape. For the longest time, Zinfandel was considered purely American. Historians have traced the origins of the name Zinfandel to the 1820s in New York, when viticulturist George Gibbs brought cuttings from Austria's Imperial College of Plant Species. Zinfandel became a popular grape in northeastern United States and was brought to California during the 1850s gold rush. Production of Zinfandel grapes surged because it could easily be cultivated using the traditional European head pruning technique, requiring no special equipment or scarce resources, and is a technique that is still in use today. Zinfandel's appeal soared during this time because it grew vigorously and provided miners with a versatile, substantial beverage. Zinfandel's expansion in the 20th century is a testament to its hardy constitution. While most of California's vineyards were destroyed by phylloxera in the late 1800s, Zinfandel vines were among the first vines replanted on rootstock starting around 1885. By mid-century, it had become the most important varietal among California red table wines, and in 1888, a census showed that 1/3 of all grapevines in California were Zinfandel. Zinfandel's old vines are now treasured for the production of premium red wine, but many were ripped up in the 1920s during the Prohibition years, from, of course, 1920 to 1933. but not exactly for the obvious reasons. Even during Prohibition, home winemaking remained effectively legal, and some vineyards embraced the sale of grapes for making wine at home, as well as wine for the church. Sutter Home Winery attempted to make an extremely bold Zinfandel in the 1970s. During these attempts, they discovered that the pink juice that was left over was actually pretty darn good. So it was marketed as White Zinfandel. It's easy to call White Zinfandel a blush, but all pink wines are essentially rosé, as they are made using the exact same method or appropriate methods. There were several discoveries that were made through genetic analysis. First off, Zinfandel is the same grape that is grown in Italy in the Puglia region, which is known as Primitivo. Secondly, and much more fun, Zinfandel actually can be tied to the Dalmatian coast of Croatia, where it is known as, and bear with me on this pronunciation, Hrjanak Kastanitsky. Hold on, I gotta get this as good as possible. I tried practicing this so much this morning. Hrjanak Kastelanski. Hrjanak Kastelanski. There we go. Hrjanak Kastelanski. Trust me, the spelling is not anywhere near how it is pronounced phonetically. In fact, most Westerners refer to it as CK. The name Primitivo translates to early ripener or first to ripen. Zinfandel is notorious for uneven ripening, so bunches have to be left on the vine to ripen fully. This leads to high sugar in the berries, which in turn makes for high alcohol. Zinfandel grapes are thin-skinned as well. The grape can also be prone to bunch rot because its clusters can be extremely tight. Still, if Zinfandel can be managed to be picked later on in the harvest season, winemakers can turn it into a dessert wine. So what can you expect from Zinfandel? Well, it's a medium full-bodied red wine. It has a medium-high amount of tannin. Zinfandel has a medium-low amount of acidity and ranges from dry to very dry. It tends to have a high amount of alcohol. We're talking 14.5 to close to 16%. Zinfandel is meant to be drunk in a red wine glass should you have one. The wine is to be served between 60 to 68 degrees, also known as room temperature. Should you have the patience, Zinfandel can be stored between 5 to 7 years. You can spend around $15 for a good bottle of Zinfandel, which is a pretty reasonable price. So what are some of the smells and tastes you can expect from Zinfandel? Blackberry, strawberry, peach, preserves, cinnamon, and sweet tobacco. Pair it with Turkish, Moroccan, or Arabic cuisine for a fun experience. So, if you're already a fan of Grenache, give Zinfandel a try. Anyway, this is Mark, your Madison Cork Dork. Join me Monday for the next video. Thanks for watching, and see if you can't learn how to pronounce CK correctly on your own between now and then.